Lisa Hinkle. I am a retired middle school teacher from Greensboro, North Carolina. I taught middle school there for 32 years, retired 3 years ago, and I've been working since with the Gary, Indiana schools and in Washington, D.C., doing some consulting work and some school improvement work there. I did not give you in your binder the full PowerPoint, the same offer as I made to you yesterday. If you would like this PowerPoint, I am most happy to share it with you. If you want to jot down my email address now, then if you just shoot me an email, there is a small handout in the binder for you, but the entire PowerPoint is not there. So hinklet54 at gmail.com, and I think in the binder it's actually listed as personalizing the school environment, but it's the same session. It's the same session. So jot that down if you do want that. I'll be more than happy to send it along to you. Okay? Ted Sizer says, to teach each student well requires that we know each student well. What I'd like to ask you to do right now is go ahead and grab a sticky note or an index card from the basket in the center of your table. Good morning. Good morning. Go ahead and grab a sticky note or an index card, whichever is easier for you to get to. And I'd like to ask you to jot down one strategy that either you have used successfully, you have seen used successfully, or maybe even something that you picked up yesterday that you plan to use and hope that it will be successful. A strategy that has been previously used by you personally, someone that you've seen use this, you've observed this, something you'd like to use, but a way that you can get to know your students or build relationships with your students. Just very quickly jot down just a few words to help us remember or get the gist of what it is on your sticky note or your index card. So tell me something that you said, you heard, or you thought about. I'm hopeful that you got a new idea during that, but just in case you didn't, some of you were busy sort of getting settled in for the morning, so you may not have gotten to that point yet. Something you said, you heard, or you thought about during that quick conversation. Somebody, please? I have wonderful wait time. I really do. I just hang out here. We're good till 11:05 here.
I heard that you can have small groups for lunch and talk about as an introduction.
Okay, so just pulling some kids maybe during lunch and just having some conversation, casual conversation, that kind of a thing. Yeah, yeah.
I like the idea that was shared yesterday where the students, if there are new students coming in 6th grade into middle school, just sharing the best or the worst thing that may have happened to them coming to a new school or coming to a new grade, so that kids can get comfortable, like, oh, I don't feel by myself. That has happened to me also, and it kind of breaks the ice.
Yeah, exactly. So just asking. Sometimes, it's as simple as asking, what was a really good thing that happened today? If you could change one thing about today, what would it have been? Those kinds of things. So sometimes it's strictly just having that little conversation with your kids. Anything else that you'd like to share? Yeah, please.
At one of the schools that I support, the principal makes a habit of standing in the middle of the hallway, and when the children leave the lunchroom, he stops. They stop, and he gives them a hug, calls them by name, and says something to them that maybe something happened yesterday or whatever like that.
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing, isn't it, that how those small little words. Now, with middle school kids, you have to be careful because some of them they will just die if you compliment them and anyone else hears it, or something like that. It's like, oh my God, no, she didn't just say that. But just those small little words. Sometimes it's good morning, or hey, your hair looks great today, as they're walking in your door. I absolutely cannot tell you how much people miss out when they don't stand at their door and greet their kids. They don't stand at the doorway. And they're not visible in the hallways, too, at those breaks. We generally stood like the yellow line in the highway. You know, when the kids were changing classes, we were out in the middle of the hall. Because if you're sort of shrunken back here by your doorway, you know, yeah, I know you're trying to keep an eye on your classroom, but if my classroom door's right there and I'm here, I can see up the hall, I can see down the hall, and I can still see my classroom. So just those little kinds of things that really make a big difference with kids. I had dinner last night with a former teammate of mine from Greensboro who now teaches in, is it Forsyth? Is there a Forsyth County? Forsyth? Okay. And we were talking about, we were really, really, really big into taking our kids on camping trips or trips to camps. And we were talking last night about one of the ones that we went on, our very first trip together actually, where we went caving. Now, I would not recommend that to you, but I will tell you that to this day, and this was 11, 12 years ago, I run into kids, they remember that year. They remember the things we did. They remember the relationships that were formed. You know, it's really amazing, the power of that. But you know, it isn't necessarily easy, is it? Because one thing about dealing with young adolescents is it's never the same ride twice. I don't know if you can see these faces over here. But the things that bring joy and enthusiasm and excitement to one child or to a group of children will be absolutely terrifying to another child or another group of children. Young adolescents are such an interesting group. A friend of mine, Dave Puckett, talks about how young adolescents are a lot like caterpillars. Okay? If you heard Patty speak yesterday, she said, has anyone else ever experienced this where you say someone says to you, what do you do? And you say, oh, I teach middle school. And they back away like you have something that is communicable. They're like, oh, why? Ugh, aren't they just awful? Because to a lot of folks, young adolescents, this is what they see when they see young adolescents. They're kind of prickly and not so pretty and a little unpleasant. And of course, because we love our kids, we know that eventually this is what they are going to become. David's written a poem, and I have it. If you are interested in it, if you would actually include that in your email to me, I'll be happy to send it to you. It's called Caterpillar Time. And in that poem, he talks about how, you know, they do it in their own time. And if you've ever sat and watched a caterpillar making its way, and if you are in a hurry, and you're thinking, is this caterpillar ever going to get from point A to point B? That's exactly the way it is with some of our middle level kids. We're thinking, is this kid ever going to quit doing this stupid stuff? Is this kid ever going to get what I'm saying to him? And it's all about having patience and realizing that, yes, in time, they are going to get there. It's just caterpillar time. And that may not be the time frame that we want to work on. I threw up a couple of cartoons for you here because I said yesterday, those of you with me, if you don't laugh and you're in middle school, there's something wrong with you, because there is the opportunity to laugh every positive single day. So when we talk about our kids, you know that we're talking, bless you, about their cognitive, their social, their emotional, and their physical development. And that's what we have to be about. And when we say we know our kids, we have to know all those things. A lot of times if a parent sits down with you and what you can say to them is, well, he or she your child made this on their test scores. And you can talk to them only about their child's cognitive development and growth, they are not all that impressed. They want to know that you know their child. I love this one because I think this is, you know, if these kids would only use their powers of reasoning for good instead of for evil. You know, so here they are, he is going, so wait a second, let me see if I got this right. But I usually turn it in 4 days late, but this was only 2 days late, so actually I've turned my work in early, haven't I? Can you just hear a middle-level kid saying this to you? Like, what is your problem? Why are you not happy with this whole situation here?